Yep, that's right. We're reviewing Scary Godmother's Halloween Spooktakular. What can I say? This is actually a fun movie. I mean, look at that. That is a fun movie. This is really one of those more interesting ones. But even though it's a kids movie, I really found myself enjoying this a lot, guys. It's just got something. I guess it's mostly because it's a fun little tiny movie. It's not meant to be taken pretty seriously. Now, the first time I saw this was actually in a DVD. It had a little, one of those little flick, you click. I can't even remember what they're called right now. That's really weird. But there was one that was specially made for the movie. And it wasn't all that expensive. This wasn't expensive either, and I'm actually pretty happy I got my hands on it. I actually have two copies. This is the normal version, and then I have another version that has the sequel on it. But what can I say about this movie? Well, I was surprised to know that it's based on a couple of books, and that it's pretty well done. I mean, they really did not play around when they made this. It's really well done. So, what's the story? Well, the little girl there, Hannah, she's going out for the first time trick-or-treating with the older kids. Now, this doesn't quite go as planned as her evil cousin Jimmy, uncle, yeah, for some people that is, who basically thinks they're not going to get any candy for their trick-or-treating because they have to deal with Hannah. And in fact, you do get a pretty good look at him. I mean, look at that guy right there. That's a pretty big douchebag, if you ask me. And then you got the other kids here, too, so it gives you a hint. Needless to say, this is a great movie. It has a lot going for it. And it shows, too. And yet, I can't help but feel a little impressed by it. It's definitely not for everybody. This is really still a kids movie, but there's just enough adult in here to make it enjoyable for us as well. This is really something I can see, like having a nostalgic moment if you're like in your 20s and stuff, or, your kids or your little sister and brother. This is a good movie to watch. It's getting a little harder to find nowadays. Like I said, I got lucky with the copies that I own, but it's a great movie. After this happens and she gets locked into this old spook house, what happens? Well, she meets, believe it or not, Scary Godmother here, who is basically like one of those fairy godmothers, but this time it says scary one from the Fright Zone. Literally like Halloween Town, a Halloween themed place, even down to certain stuff. It's on one level so much like our own, and yet on another level so completely different. I think they really expanded in the sequel, but this one is just Scary Godmother having a whole lot of fun. I mean, they don't really explain how her and Scary Godmother become this like tight-knit group, but it's still pretty dang cool. The movie just keeps, how do I put it? It just keeps building on itself. It's really a fun movie. It's designed that way. You see Hannah overcoming her fear and so forth. Like when she meets a character called Bugaboo. There's the Mr. Pennybones, the skeleton in the closet. A group of vampires, believe it or not. And seeing the characters interact with each other is so cool, especially since you have a normal, living, breathing human against all of these classic monsters and stuff. A witch, a skeleton, the monster from under your bed. Even this freaky werewolf who is like, good evening, and yet he's a total nerd. I mean, he even has this funny shirt on. They really went well onto it. And that's the cool thing. It works so well. I've seen other people review it, and even the Nostalgia Critic has made fun of it. But he even admits at the end, although it's not meant to be taken very seriously like certain other movies, it's still something to have a lot of fun with. It's not meant to be taken too seriously. It's actually something to be taken pretty hilariously. And I think for that reason alone, it works. I couldn't help it, I had to do that. But it's so much fun in that regard. The way the film resolves itself, the way she gets even with, the adults, the way she has fun with everybody. They make fun of like, oh, my pizza has garlic on it for the vampires. And they're like, hey, mine's got AB negative. It's like, okay, we're going to keep our pizza over here with olives and garlic. There's garlic on it. And he's like, oh shit, yeah. And they just do that, and it so works here because they really great. I'm doing the Star Trek thing. They do all of this great stuff, and it works so well. The movie is really made as a fun, exciting kids movie that can be somewhat enjoyed by adults. It's not going to be for everybody, and I do want to point that out. So I can't give this film a super rating, but I can give it a solid 7. That's right, this movie does get a 7. It's not perfect. It's got its issues, but I will say it's still not terrible. It's really made more for kids. I think for them it would be closer to an 8 out of 10. So it's not bad, but it's still a good movie, and I recommend you check it out. You might just enjoy it. So who knows? Anyways, I'm out. See ya.